Hi everyone, this is Penguin Trades, and this is a review for the ES and NQ futures for November 4th. We're going to be starting off here on the ES and then hop over to the NQ. So this is our overnight high, this is our overnight low, these are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. And so starting off, let me just zoom in here. We have this push up, and then when we push lower here, that gives us our overnight high and low levels, and we get this break. So an uptrend with a break, we can expect price to attempt a new high. And we get that attempt right here, but very quickly it pushes down and makes a new low. And so now what we have is a two-legged break. I'm just going to remove this larger measured move to unclutter the chart a bit. So when price pushes down here and it pushes below this swing, you now have a two-legged break. And you can start an all-new two-legged move to a new high from here. And so when price pushed up here, this was the first attempt at a new high, but as soon as it pushed lower and broke that low swing, now it's just a two-legged break, and you have another chance at getting a two-legged move higher, a larger two-legged move higher. However, it ends up only making one clear attempt up before continuing on lower and going into a downtrend. So when we push up here, this is a good place to get a failed second entry holding above the EMA. We have a two-legged break for the uptrend, but again, right as I start trading here, price just plummets on down. So when we break out here, we push out these lows. When we break out, we can expect price to attempt to fade back in. And when price starts fading back up here, you can look to get in on the fade, but you do have to consider this wider downtrend that's in play. The highs are fitting good, the lows are fitting good. And so when we push up here, you just want to be cautious to not enter long directly into that trend line. However, if we do get a good hold above and an entry with enough room, you can look to go long on the fade. And, in this case here, it ends up just rejecting the lows and then pushing off. This is just one first entry, and it also got above the EMA. Really nothing good about going short right here. Even though it's retesting and pushing back below, it's only a first entry. You want to wait for a two-legged move. So when we push lower here, and I will address this right here, when we get this second push up, we have first entry, second entry. By the time we get a good bearish bar, it's already closing all the way down here. We're entering low into the move, and when we came off of the low here, the channels, they act kind of like ranges. When you come off one side, you can expect price to reach the other side. And this second attempt up is just so insignificant compared to this first attempt that I would want to see another attempt up, so that way the uptrend, this little uptrend, would have a break and two attempts at a new high. If you can't get a good two-legged move, then you could just, the smaller uptrend can play out, and then you can still look to get short, but that doesn't happen here. We only have that one attempt higher after this uptrend break, and so it's not a good enough two-legged move, so I just didn't like entering short there. It does plummet, as you can see, but, it doesn't mean it's going to work out like that next time. So anyway, we push on lower here, we reach the overnight low, and then price starts pushing on up. So this is an overshoot. When you're in a downtrend and price pushes out the lows, that's an overshoot. Overshoots tend to lead to breaks. And so you just want to be cautious of going short once price reaches the other side because, again, overshoots tend to lead to breaks. Now, another common thing that they will do after an overshoot, what price will do is form a reversal pattern, a failed second entry. Now, you can go long inside of this downtrend here. If we push up, get a couple legs back, make a clear failed second entry, we can go long as we have room to these highs up here. Because there is a chance that it could reconfirm. Overshoots tend to lead to breaks, but you don't know for sure that it's going to break. It's just commonly leads to that. And so you can look to go long, you just still can't enter into the upper trend line. So anyway, price only makes one leg up. You can see there's two legs on a smaller picture, but they're so thin with each other, it's basically just one leg up right there. We get a break, and price pushes up to a new high. Price basically just ignores the trend line. It clearly reacts a little bit there, but really it just pushes out, has a break, makes a new high, and acts like it's not even there. And so when we push up here, or actually before I go to there, one thing I want to mention is when we start pushing lower right here, there is a chance that price could make a failed second entry. If price pushes lower here and makes a couple clear legs up and ends up holding to the downside below this trend line, then that would include your two attempts at a new high for this uptrend right here. So if this uptrend plays out with two attempts at a new high, you can look to get in on the failure, and on the other side of the count, on the top side, that would form a failed second entry. So you'd be able to get short from that. But as you can see, after we push back in, it immediately pushes up and makes a new high for this uptrend right here. So The uptrend is played out, it has a break and a new high, and then as it keeps pushing higher here, it starts to go into this range. So we have this measured move up. We've come off the lows. When price comes off the lows, we can expect price to reach the highs. This is how trends work. This is how ranges work. When price comes off one side, you can expect it to go up and down from both sides. Same thing with a channel here. And so anyway, we have this measured move still in play, but the uptrend has played out at this point. Now, it's not surprising that it broke. Again, overshoots tend to lead to breaks, especially being off of a key level like that with a good reaction to a key level from the previous, from when it opened. And so anyway, as we push up here, the uptrend is played out, and then we get these two small legs back. On a bigger picture, it's clearly one leg, but you got to take it one price action level at a time. You can clearly see that there's a two-legged move right there. It finds support right off of those lows right there. It's holding above the EMA. As you can see, this is a limit order trade because just given how small picture these two legs are, I didn't even want to push it out a little bit from those highs. I had the highs right here because, we had this push out, and then I just dragged it up to the top of that wick that seemed most appropriate for these highs. And I like to ride it to the other side. It's just, I don't want to push it out because, again, the uptrend just played out, and these are only two small attempts to reverse. And so we could, on a bigger picture, we could just tap that resistance and then immediately make a second larger leg down and then form a, just get a larger two-legged move down, which could eventually, if this did happen, it could lead to another long down there. But in the moment, I don't know what price is going to do, so I don't want to expect price to just push on through this resistance up here. So that's why this was a limit order trade. And so anyway, we push on up, and look what price does. Even though this first leg made the new high, we end up just getting a second attempt at that new high, or at the measured move, I mean. And so it's very common that after a trend plays out with a break to new high, you'll get a second leg. These ones look measured. I actually didn't measure these ones today. They're not quite measured. The measured move goes to about the same level as the larger measured move, which is another very common thing to see, by the way. But it ends up just pushing up. It doesn't quite reach the measured move and then starts pushing lower. It breaks out of this channel that's forming. And when it breaks out, it gets very choppy. It starts to get a little bit unclear. Price is just going sideways, but also kind of down. And so when we push down here, we have a downtrend. At first, we have this small break with a push to new low, which leads to a reversal attempt. So downtrend, break, new low, reversal. However, what this reversal really is, it's just a bigger picture break, because you can clearly tell that on a bigger picture, this is all just one downtrend. It doesn't matter that it has this break to a new low right there. This is all one move down. This is all one downtrend, including this little part right there. And so what you have is a two-legged break forming. First leg up starts to push lower, because when a downtrend gets a break, you can expect price to attempt a new low. It starts pushing lower. However, it then pushes back up and makes, it finds resistance at these highs right here. The bodies are a little bit higher, so technically that is a complete two-legged break with a new swing high. And so what you have here is a failed second entry. From the top, we have first entry long, second entry long, failure, making this triple top. We have this bounce there, another bounce there, another bounce there. So it's a failed second entry forming a triple top right after this uptrend played out with a break and two legs to a new high. This is a perfect place for a reversal. We have great context here. And yeah, after this red bar formed, it unfortunately did not immediately trigger, which is what I was wanting. However, given how good the context was and how big picture this trade was, I did not mind entering with this green bar right there. It's not that bad of a bar anyway. So anyway, we push on lower here, and then we just plummet out these lows. We go straight through that measured move right there. So this was a very strong reversal. When it just goes straight through the down measured move on a reversal down, then that's telling you the bears are really coming in. And so when it pushed on through here, what I was really wanting to see was two attempts back up, retesting this measured move level. Got a little bit off there. But if we get two legs up, retesting the low side of this measured move level, then we can just look to continue short, because it's very common for price to reverse straight at these levels. So like when price reaches it right here, it's very common to see price just spike on up. However, if price pushes through, that's telling you that there's, it's not acting as a good support level. The bears have taken over the market. And so if you get a two-legged move retesting the low side of this, that's another opportunity to just get in on the trend because you have a two-legged move, and if it's finding support right there, or in this case it would be resistance on, because it would turn into a high basically, and you get a clear reaction to it, then that's telling you the bears have controlled this market. The bulls were unable to hold on this level. The bears pushed through instead, and then the bulls were unable to get back through that level on the other side of it, which means it's a good place to continue with the trend. So I hope that's clear there. I probably should have just drawn out a little visual. But if we could have got something like this, pushed down, couple legs back, great place to find a short there. Anyway, we continue on lower here. We break out of the overnight low, and as soon as we break out, what I'm thinking is, okay, we could get a couple attempts to fade soon, and if price is unable to fade after 2 attempts, then we can get in on a fade failure. So 2 attempts to fade with a bearish reaction, great place for a short. However, as you can see, we don't quite get that. The other possibility is, of course, a successful fade, which if that happens, then we just want to wait for 2 attempts on the high side of the overnight low in order to get long and continue the fade. However, here we only get this 1 attempt to fade before pushing on lower, which is the play out for this downtrend here. Downtrend, break, new low. As soon as it plays out, it immediately reverses on higher. We can get a failed second entry, which is a reversal pattern. We could get one on the way up to the overnight high. And another possibility is forming a larger one after we've faded the overnight high. You can see I have this drawn out here. Price did not quite do what I was wanting, but you can see what I was pointing out here. I wanted to see, after this push up, 2 legs down, retesting the overnight low, forming a failed second entry to get in on the second major leg up. And you can kind of see price did technically make 2 legs because there's a little separation with this green bar here. First leg down, second leg down, but that's really so thin. It's just 1 leg down. So we have this right there. And so basically what we have is this uptrend has a break, push to a new high, which led to a reversal attempt. And what that really is on a bigger picture is uptrend, and then this reversal attempt is just the break. So you just got to learn how to see price action on a bigger picture. Like when you see this uptrend play out with a break to a new high, you can still clearly tell that this is just 1 leg up. You zoom out a little bit, it all just merges together. It's clearly all 1 leg. And so this reversal attempt is really just a bigger picture break from this whole uptrend right here. And then when we start pushing up here, this is the bigger picture first attempt at a new high. So uptrend, break, first attempt higher. We could get a couple legs back and get long and get in on the second attempt higher. So, we'll see what happens. I'm going to hop over to the NQ. That's it for the ES. And here we are on the NQ. So we have our overnight high here, overnight low here. Same as the ES, just mark your overnight high and low levels every day. And I started trading at 8 Central Time, like I mentioned in the last video, or not last video, the last market, and that's right around here. So we have these couple legs down, obviously the same, we have a very similar leg up right here, which gives us our overnight levels before pushing on down. As we push lower here, it would have been, nice to see another leg up like that. This is obviously well into the overnight part, but, after a push down like that, if we get a second leg up, then that could give us a large failed second entry, which would definitely play out this uptrend. And we just don't get that. So anyway, I started trading at 8 right around here. We already have a couple legs down. This is a reversal attempt, which has clearly failed. It's failing just as I'm starting here. And we push on lower, and then we reach the overnight low. And so at the overnight low, price has a clear bullish reaction. The overnight low formed all the way over here. We get a good bullish reaction. I think I just said bearish a second ago. And we get a good bullish reaction right at the overnight low, right at this measured move. So that's 2 key entry points basically combining them, and we're getting a good clear bullish reaction off of it. I really liked this right here. I just liked writing it to the EMA, which it was actually slightly higher up than that. It was actually a couple ticks through the EMA. But I didn't want to push it through the EMA because we're in a downtrend. It's still an active downtrend. There's no overshoot. Overshoots tend to lead to breaks. We don't even have that here. And so I wasn't confident in it pushing through the EMA, so that's why I just had it right on it. And when it broke on through, that immediately pushed price down. So this is why we go for the targets we go for. This is why I'm not expecting price to go all the way to the other side of this range. I know that some people just buy the low of ranges and wait for price to go to the other side. I don't trade like that. Um, I like to stick with what price is giving us, and in this case here, we have clear support, but we still have to consider that there's a downtrend in play right here, and we don't want to push our luck. So that's why I like that target there. We push on lower here. That's 1-to-1. That's my typical target. So we push on lower here. We break out of the overnight low, and now when we break out, I want to see 2 attempts to fade, and if we get 2 attempts to fade and it still can't fade, then we look to get in on the fade failure, which means we look to get short. And so as we push lower here, we overshoot. Overshoots tend to lead to breaks, like I've said like 4 times in this video. And since we overshot, this is a good place to get a reversal pattern. If we get a clear reversal pattern, we can look to get long even though we're in the downtrend. We just need room to the channel highs and the overnight low. And in this case here, we don't get it. It ends up just going straight on up and retesting it, which we can't go short on either, obviously, because it's just one leg. Excuse me. Because it's just one leg, and it's not a clear 2-legged move retesting it. That could give us a great short. However, price just fades back in. We go into this uptrend, and that breaks the wider downtrend. So downtrend, break. Now we can expect price to attempt a new low. What I'd really like to see here is 2 legs down, retesting the overnight low. And we only get 1 clear leg down. We end up getting the second little smaller attempt, but we don't get a clear entry from it. We just get 1 attempt down, little higher low, and then we continue up. We go into this range. Now, this point right here is right where we got that other trade on the ES. It just didn't set up as good on the NQ here. So we have this measured move in play. The up measured move is in play. This uptrend has a break and a new high. It's considered played out, and that's when it starts going sideways. I did notice this in the moment during the ES trade. However, I don't like to take trades off on one market based on the other, and it just didn't set up as good here on the NQ. Like, we don't have a clear 2-legged move down. On the ES, in that same area, it's pretty clear. We have 1 leg down, a break, and then a second leg down, and then a hold above the EMA. But here, it's really just 1 leg down, and then it goes completely sideways, and it's not very clear. So I just didn't like the entry here on the NQ. So anyway, that's why I just didn't take it. If it doesn't look good on one, then I don't take it on that one. It's very common for things like, okay, so basically the ES and the NQ, they do follow each other somewhat, but they don't completely follow each other. So sometimes if you get a pullback, it will generally pull back on both of them, but sometimes it'll pull back really far on the NQ and only barely on the ES, and that's why they appear to follow each other, but they're still generally different. Like, for instance, here's the NQ. We have our overnight low right here. Price breaks out, pushes back in, but here on the ES, we don't break out at this point. On the NQ, price broke out of the overnight low, and so the context can be very different on each market, even if in the moment when one has a spike up, the other one's generally spiking up. But overall, as the day forms, we have very different context at any given moment for each, for the 2 different markets. So that's why I didn't take it, even though I was entering in the same area on the ES. It didn't set up as good, so I didn't take it. So anyway, we push on up here. What I would have liked to see is 2 legs down, retesting this range high for a long and continue higher to reach this measured move. But as you can see, that doesn't happen. We continue up. We get this 1 leg down, reaches the key entry point, which was like that at the time. We reach the key entry point with 1 leg down. Even though we get this small break and then a second leg right there, that's very small and insignificant and very sideways, so I did not like going long there. And then it just takes a bit, and then we finally get a second leg down. 2-legged move, pushing out of this channel. Now this uptrend has a break, and we can expect price to attempt a new high. As we push up here, we can look to get long and make the new high. We just don't get any clear setup for it. It's very sideways right here. It's not closing above the EMA on this bar here. And then we just kind of, it just kind of spikes up out of nowhere. We push up, spike up, break, second spike up. Completely sideways right there. I did not like entering long right there because it's so close to that measured move that, the resistance could be from it. Even though it is a couple ticks lower, that could be what price is finding resistance on, and it's just it's just finding too much resistance in this area. I don't want to enter long directly into that. You know what I mean? So I skipped that there. As soon as it actually meets that measured move, though, that's when it really just completely reverses. Gets very bearish, price pushes on down. Great place for a reversal pattern for a clear failed second entry, holding below the EMA, giving us a short entry. But it just doesn't happen here. It just continues on down. We go into this downtrend, we get a break, and right as we get that, break, this is the fade attempt. So first attempt to fade, and since it's just the first attempt, we can't enter on it because price is very likely to tick lower and make a second leg up attempting to fade. And so you want to wait for your 2 fade attempts, even though this downtrend is in play and we can expect price to attempt a new low. That doesn't make it safe to enter right here. So I wanted to see a clear 2-legged break. That way, not only is it a 2-legged break, which is good within itself, it's also giving us 2 attempts to fade. So we don't get that here, unfortunately. It just pushes straight on down to a new low. Downtrend is now played out at this point. We have another chance at getting a couple attempts to fade, and we can still get in on a fade failure. Now, there is also a chance for a reversal pattern before reaching the overnight high, or the overnight low, but that is unlikely just given how little space we have. It ends up just making a higher low before continuing up. And so we push on higher here, and now we've finally successfully faded. So we faded the overnight low. We can still get a failed second entry, similar to what I had on the other chart. I had this drawn out, hoping something like that would happen. If we got a failed second entry, we could have gone long down here on a overnight low retest. But instead, price ends up just making one sharp leg down. and just one leg down, that's not enough. And so, we just don't get anything, but it pushes up. Uptrend now has a break and a push to a new high. It's considered played out at this point. So there is a higher chance for a reversal down soon. If price holds above the EMA or holds on a wider channel, such as this right here, then, obviously it can continue higher. And if we get 2 legs down with a clear bullish reaction to this channel, then we can look to get long and continue the channel. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I really hope this helped out. I hope the bigger picture is getting easier to see, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.